what about your writing do you think you can, you like to write about? Because you especially write about women a lot. So I would want to, like, that's something that I would want to understand as well.
The actual purpose or aim of writing this book is uh, to for the young girls to draw inspiration and
Hmm.
rebel and succeed and be the go-getter. You know,
Yeah,
anything comes into the way of success, you fight it, whoever it may be, mother, father,
yeah,
society.
absolutely.
Don't give up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
live life at your terms.
We don't equate modernity or, like, forward thinking with people in the village, but I have found that, like, a lot of the forward thinking people may not be traditionally educated or whatever, but they are more forward thinking, and they have taken these decisions that are very, very unconventional. Hi everyone, I'm Anjali from Neher Baari. We have a library and a co-working space here in Gurgaon in Sector 65. It's a new and up and coming area in Gurgaon, and I'm really excited today to collaborate with Book Nerds Author Agency. We are in conversation with Mr. Vipul Kulshreshtha today, and he has. I was just researching before this session, and you've written quite a number of books already, and today we're discussing your latest, Hard as Nails. So, before we get into that, I would also want to know, Vipul, like, what inspired you to become an author in the first place? Like, what about writing is it that excites you?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Neha, for conducting this podcast. I would like to thank Bookner's Author Agency for hosting this. Now, coming to your question, uh, what inspired me? Actually, right since the childhood, I had this passion for writing. You know, when I was even in seventh, eighth standard, I used to write short poetry poems, which
Wow.
used to. In those days, of course, the schools didn't have their school magazines, but they used to be displayed in the annual exhibition. You know, they would put it on a chart
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
nicely and display it as the students
Nice.
were. Later on,
Right.
the passion continued during the school college days. I was the school student editor of the school magazine in ninth and 10th. Later on
Wow.
in college, I was the college, student editor of the college magazine. And then, of
Nice.
course, I went to a completely unrelated field, and that is engineering. And so the link kind of broke out, but not really because the passion continued. And I joined aviation as an aeronautical engineer. But
Wow.
even while working, I used to write these articles which I used to send to newspapers and magazines. And a lot of my
Nice.
poems and articles got published. And later on, when they started appearing in newspapers, people say, "Why don't you write a book? You write so well. Why don't you write a book?" So much later in life,
So when did you
in
write your first book? Like your full
in
manuscript? When was the first time?
uh, way back in 2012, my first book
Wow.
was a collection of short stories, about 8 short stories. Uh, the
Right.
name was the name was Missed Connections.
Oh yes, I saw this. I saw this on in my research. This was your first book.
Yeah, that was my first book, and a very hard journey at that time because internet का ज़माना नहीं था. You didn't have access to keyboard, a computer,
Yeah.
so it was handwritten, and
Wow.
manuscript had to be posted to the publisher for
So you sent a
review.
handwritten manuscript to the publisher?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, you went to a typing institute and got it typed.
okay. I was like, okay.
because
You sent a handwritten.
it was not common for people to have a typewriter at home. So
Yeah,
you got the manuscript typed
right.
and corrected, and then
Yeah,
by post you sent it to various publishing houses for approval.
right.
So that was
That's amazing.
another enjoyable journey. But what used to happen is you'll find that missed connections is a book which can be read by people of any age, right from children to
Mm,
you know elderly people, because
right.
it has been censored and recensored and recensored by my
Books are
daughters,
also censored. I
by my
didn't know books
daughters.
were censored. I didn't even know
because
that censorship
because
existed for
because
books.
my daughter was doing the correction would say, "Daddy, ये नहीं होना, ये निकाल दीजिए, प्लीज, मेरी 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 सहेलियां क्या कहेंगी, प्लीज." so
And
so the story
so
so
just
the stories are
because
very
we are
neat in.
so because since we like talked about your daughter and she censored your books, I also want to know like why do you feel so passionate about writing about women's journeys? So obviously you have a daughter and everything, but it's often said that a man cannot really um, give direction or give meaning to a woman's perspective. So what about your writing do you think you can you like to write about, because you especially write about women a lot. So I would want to like that's something that I would want to understand as well.
Actually, if you notice, most of my books have strong woman characters. My characters,
Mhm.
the women as portrayed by me, are never weaklings.
Yeah,
None of the
like
characters.
this one literally wields a lathi, so like that's awesome.
In the 70s, my formative years, my father was a civil engineer, so most of the times he used to be out. So
Hmm.
my mother used to almost bring me up like a single parent. She used to
Hmm.
take me to the school.
I
So
understand
a
that.
lot of mother influence was there, and
Yeah.
she was the one who developed the interest for reading, writing in me. And when I read literature, pulp fiction, especially during
Hmm.
that time, novels, I found that the Indian authors, portray the women characters as that epitome of sacrifice and
Yeah, even
epitome of
movies, even the movies in the '70s
even
and
movies of
80s.
the yesteryears.
Yeah,
The women are,
yeah,
all forgiving and all sacrificing, going through
yeah,
all the ordeals of life, subjected to all kind of humiliations, and
yeah.
then finally coming out on top in the sense that the people would realize what a nice person this is.
That
This
yeah, like the
nice woman is.
the sense of coming out on top was through the sacrifice and all forgiving kind of nature.
And I used to read all those the Badi Bahu, Choti Bahu, Majli Bahu, Badi Didi, Choti Didi, Majli Didi. I used to read all those books and I used to get disgusted. Means somewhere while reading, uh, I used to say, why doesn't she speak up? Why doesn't she
Yeah,
do something about the situation? Why doesn't she set people right?
yes.
And somewhere inside, I took a vow that when
Hmm.
I write, the woman characters that I portray will not be like that. You know,
Hmm.
the second thing was that though they were portrayed like this on screen, in cinema and in various forms of literature,
Hmm. Hmm.
the women who surrounded me, the women that I interacted with, were
Hmm.
not like that at all. They were all
Yeah.
very strong,
I was just
upright,
about
and
to say that, like, in a situation of crisis, you will never hear a woman say, "Ab kya kare?" Like, she
exactly,
just gets to work and she goes
exactly.
forward.
She comes up with a solution.
Yeah.
She will tell you, कि, अच्छा ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा करो.
हाँ, ऐसा
You
कर
know,
दो, हाँ.
ऐसा कर दो.
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. इसमें घबराने की क्या बात है?
Hmm.
तो ये
Correct.
देखेंगे जो होगा क्या होगा ज्यादा से, they will have that kind of attitude.
Right, right. So,
I tell you an incident from my childhood. I must have been in my second standard, third standard. I was playing with kids outside,
hmm,
and boy, I had a scuffle with a boy. He hit
hmm.
me,
Oh,
and I came home crying. And "अरे मम्मी मार दिया उसने." So my mom heard it, and she gave me one resounding slap, and she said, "जो भी तेरा मसला है, वहीं बराबर करके आया कर. मेरे पास रोते हुए मत आ जा. किसी ने किसी ने अगर तुझे मारा है, तो मम्मी नहीं आएगी तेरे लिए लड़ने के लिए. तू
hmm.
वहीं हिसाब बराबर करके आया कर."
Correct. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that is not possible if she doesn't have inherent strength herself.
Of course, of course.
No.
Especially for like an almost single parent, like practically a single parent, because I grew up in an like my father was in the army, so I
So you
also
must
grew up
have
with a
some
single parent, basically.
transferable job and single parent.
Yeah,
You must
yeah.
have also stayed at
So
various places.
our mothers had to be formidable, right? They could not be like, "Oh, मैं बिजली का
Yes.
बिल कैसे pay करूँ?" Like that's not something that they could
Exactly.
like really afford to do.
Exactly. Even in school, the girls that I interacted with, my classmates, uh,
Right.
were not at all like that, docile and
Mm.
sacrificing and all forgiving. Not at all.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So, like you had obviously a strong mom growing up. Um, could you also tell me a little bit about your dad? Because, like, obviously women are strong and everything, but in some ways, like, our society also needs to give almost like a permission to for the woman to be strong. Like even in this book, like Anushka's character, the way that her father like you know talks to her, the way he feels like, oh, you've gone and you've had a fight with this person, now we are just going to get you married off and all of that. So like how was that dynamic in your house? Like how did your mother like of course like she was on her own so she had to be strong, but obviously like your father also had a role to play in letting her be that free and be that formidable. So how was that dynamic?
You know, it was a typical patriarchal society at that time.
Hmm.
All said and done, the father was the figurehead. He was the top boss of the house.
Yeah.
And when I talk to my age group people, my friends, they all had a similar kind of an environment at home.
Hmm.
The fathers usually saw themselves as the providers. You
Yeah.
know, they thought it was their job to provide and
Right.
provide well, and
Right.
they were not actually involved very deeply into the day-to-day activities or
Hmm.
the bringing up of the child or his his studies or his
Yeah.
interests. Or,
Right.
as a father, if the child wanted to play, they'll get him a cricket set. They would get him a
Yeah.
hockey. They would buy him a
Yeah.
football. You
Yeah.
know, and though there was love, there was encouragement. There were
Yeah.
words of advice here and there, but
Of
that
course.
open communication was never there.
Hmm.
Though my father never raised his hand on me ever in my
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
and my mother clobbered me wholesale. It was very, very common to get beaten up by my mother. यानी
Yeah.
that was यानी चप्पल से भी पिटाई हुई मेरी यानी बट मैं जब अपने दोस्तों से बात करता हूँ तो ज्यादातर लोगों का ऐसा ही हुआ लेकिन
Correct.
फिर भी
Yeah.
आई वाज मोर स्कैर्ड ऑफ माय डैड देन
Hmm.
ऑफ माय मॉम
Hmm.
लाइक माय मॉम यूज्ड टू
Because
थ्रेटन
mothers are also nurturing ना, वो मतलब आपको थप्पड़ भी लगाती है तो फिर बाद में like हलवा भी लेके आती
हाँ
है, like
उसका भी
like they are
करती
nurturing that
है
way, right?
या कई बार मेनी टाइम शी क्लॉबर्ड में मारा खूब अच्छे से पिटाई की एंड देन शी रियलाइज कि मैंने गलत पीट दिया इसको and then she would hug me and she would herself start crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Of course.
so,
That
so
happens.
and somehow the relationship with my mother, she kind of became my friend, philosopher, guide. Like when
Hmm.
I could confide in her everything. When I
Hmm.
first started smoking, I told her. when I first started drinking. I told her. So,
Right.
she
Right.
was aware. But जहाँ तक father का सवाल था, there was this measured conversation, like
Yeah.
somewhat like an official conversation.
I know.
conversation.
I've had those with my father as well.
Yeah,
So I totally
it was like
understand.
अगर मेरा result खराब आया तो it was like he would call me, and the conversation was somewhat like, I am providing you everything. Then why
Yeah.
this?
Then
Why
why?
are you?
Yeah. Why is it 9 on 10 and why is it not
And
10 on 10
he,
and all of that?
but
Yeah.
the enjoyable
So,
part was that he used to take me to the site, sometimes his workplace, and
yeah.
see him work. And then
Right.
the kind of hardship that he went through for us
Yeah.
to be comfortable. You know, it was a very hard and unforgiving job.
Right.
Uh,
Of course.
in
Yeah.
dense forest, in
Yeah. Which
inhospitable
also do no
areas.
one talks about, right? Like people, we talk about feminism so much, but we don't really talk about like the
And
hardship of being a man
the
also,
the
because
fun
being
the fun
patriarchal is
was,
also hard, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the greatest part was that they would never ever show as if they are taking a lot of pain to get the bread on the table.
Mm.
Once
Yeah.
I remember my father was standing in knee deep water getting the work done for
Hmm.
nearly 48 hours. Okay,
Wow.
one, yeah, there were breaches and there was water, and he had to. He was in the railways, so
Hmm.
he had to see that the traffic is restored. And
Hmm.
he came back from there, and he was wearing gumboots, and
Hmm.
when the gumboots were removed, his skin inside had all become white and
Yeah.
sticky.
Yeah.
And and that vision somehow never leaves my psyche.
Yeah.
Maybe it motivated me to work hard, and
Of
maybe later
course.
on, even later on in life,
Yeah.
uh, it always that visual comes into my mind and prompts me to put
It's a
in
core memory of,
that,
yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
much more.
Of course.
So not only my father, all the successful
All,
people,
yeah.
they had
That's
similar
true.
fathers of those areas, those times. That was how
Right.
the family used to run.
Right. So coming back to the current book that we are discussing, Hard as Nails. So, could you tell me a little bit about the title? How did you come up with the title, and why is it so important to the story?
Uh, Actually, Hard as Nails is kind of derived from one Hindi novel I read long ago.
Mm-hmm.
One docile daughter-in-law is
Hmm.
married into a rogue family.
Oh.
The father-in-law knows that the boy is a rogue.
Hmm.
His mother is a rogue. The family members are rogues. So he calls the daughter-in-law into his room,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "See, uh, I quote in Hindi कि देखो बेटा, दबने वाली चीज को हर कोई दबाता है, वो स्पंज
Hmm.
उठाओ." तो शी
Hmm.
पिक्स अप द, बोले, अगर मैं अभी तुमसे बात करूंगा, तुम खेल में भी इसको दबाती रहो, क्योंकि
Hmm.
दबने वाली चीज है, और वो कीलें पड़ी हुई हैं वहां पे,
Hmm.
उन्हें उठाओ।
Hmm.
फिर तुम मुझसे बात करते हुए इन चीजों को दबाने की कोशिश नहीं करो, क्योंकि वो कड़क है और नुकीली
Correct.
है।
Hmm.
So that somehow stayed, that analogy stayed with me.
Right.
And
That's a great
when I
analogy.
so that's what my character is, and
Right.
hard as nails.
Yeah.
You- she has don't mess around with me written all
हाँ,
over.
दबने वाला क्या, हाँ, इट्स नॉट अ कैरेक्टर जिसको आप दबा सकते हैं.
Yeah,
And and a formidable older lady also, like when I was reading about her Nani Ma,
yeah, Nani Ma.
Nani Ma's character is like so like it's almost gangster like personality, but like all wrapped up into like tradition and softness and everything, but very, very gangster. So like
No,
that is something that I
there is
really
a
liked.
conscious effort to make that character the way it is.
Hmm.
Because what I have seen is many of the writers, English writers, when they want
Hmm.
to portray a strong, woman character or a girl
Hmm.
character, they
Hmm.
resort to the urban setting.
Yeah.
About in the cities, in the
Yeah.
metros, or
And they're always
you know,
shown as like wearing modern Western clothes and,
yeah.
like sharp
So
makeup and all of that. Yeah.
and I wanted to break that stereotype, and even sociologically, it is not true.
Yeah.
Even
At
in
least
our
not in
villages,
India, it's not true. Yeah.
yeah, in villages we have superb, strong women, who
Yeah.
control a lot of things. So
Of
I
course.
wanted my at least one of my character to be, like those women, rooted in
Hmm.
tradition,
Hmm.
the background of village, and being the village
Yeah.
pradhan, and
And also like the whole dichotomy of that she's in the village, she got married whenever she got married, after her husband she has taken over the whole this thing. And just the fact that like even she's nervous about her daughter inheriting all her, all that she has built, and then she finds that person in her granddaughter. I think like that's so it's so modern. Like we don't equate modernity or like forward thinking with people in the village, but I have found that like a lot of the forward thinking people may not be traditionally educated or whatever, but they are more forward thinking, and they have taken these decisions that are very, very unconventional.
nay, I have not had the good fortune of seeing some of those women, but like my father used to tell about his grandmother. Okay,
Hmm.
whenever his grandfather, means my
Hmm.
great grandfather,
Yeah.
used to go to another town or city in the village, or out of the village,
Right.
his grandmother used to don a half pant and a shirt and put on a turban and take a
Oh.
padawata and guard the house during the night.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so, and this is, imagine those
Yeah,
times.
like early
Maybe
1900s.
about 80, 90, 100 years, 100 years,
Yeah, yeah,
100 years
yeah.
ago. And that was
Correct.
India, and that was Indian village. You know,
Correct.
so
Correct.
so so we have had those characters,
Yes.
and I'm sure, because I see in some of the movies and documentaries, and I'm sure there are many more even now.
Many
You know,
more, yes.
yeah,
Yeah, like I was reading recently, I was reading about this lady who became a surgeon in the 1890s. And like at that point in time she went to the US and she became a surgeon, and like nobody knows about her in India, of course. And she came like she wore a sari, like a Marathi style sari, and she went to the university in US, studied to be a surgeon. And I'm like, okay, like why do we not talk about her? And we have no idea that these characters and these people exist, that are so inspiring.
like you should not look down on the colloquial or you know um,
Yeah.
uh, rural wisdom.
Hmm.
My father used to say that my grandmother was kind of like a person who used to be consulted by the village people for various issues. So
Right.
there was going to be a division of something, and so she said, what you have to do is among the two parties, uh, you ask one to divide it equally in two parts, but
Yeah.
ask the other one to choose. Any one party should make a division, but the choice should be the other, so it will be a fair choice.
Fair
And
choice. Yes.
इंजीनियस, तुम किसी को अगर डिवाइड करोगे, अगर तुम छोटा बड़ा करोगे तो वो बड़ा वाला ले जाएगा. अगर तुम
Correct. Yeah.
तो you will make a conscious effort to make it equal.
To make
अगर
it
जमीन
equal,
भी है,
yes.
अगर जमीन भी
Yeah,
है,
correct. Because the other
तो
person
give
is choosing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
तो if I कुछ भी तुम रोटी ले लो, अगर मुझे
Hmm.
उसको डिवाइड करना है and the other person is going to choose. So
Yes.
this is village wisdom. This is
Yeah.
colloquial wisdom. You don't have to pass
Yeah.
universities to get this wisdom.
To
But
get this education, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
And I
So
I I feel obviously like education doesn't have anything to do with the degrees you hold anyway, right? Like,
exactly,
so yeah, and that is
exactly.
like very evident in this book also. Like, like we don't know what Nanima's background has been, what her life. We get glimpses of her life, but for a formidable woman, her own daughter is like very very meek, and she doesn't stand up to her husband a lot, at least in the beginning of the book. So
And she has
like,
no respect for their daughter.
yeah, and and to consider that Anushka has like, two siblings also. One of them is a boy, one of them is a sister. So like, it's a different perspective even for the siblings to look at Anushka and go like, "Acha, didi ne aise kiya tha," type of thing. And it could also like obviously flip the script on the younger sister, because the dad will be more careful about like the way that he brings up the other daughter. So like, we don't know what transpired, why her daughter is not the character that Nanima is, because obviously Nanima is very very, like, I am so inspired by her character.
No,
Like,
most of the
it's
people who
amazing.
read the book uh, came to me and said, the Nanima's character is lovely here.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
we would like to have somebody like that in our lives.
In our life, yes, like,
you
she's
know,
fun also, right? Like, it's not like she's just this strict person or whatever. She's practical. She carries a gun. She tells Anushka to learn the skills, learn about the estate. Like, those are like really practical advice that a lot of women don't often get. So keeping that sort of background in mind, I
like
also wanted to
I enjoyed
understand.
reading the piece where she goes to visit Anushka's office and
Yeah.
she gives her advice on managing the stuff. You know,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah, because it's,
so
at the end of the day, it is about managing people. You're managing humans. So the analogy would still apply. So uh, just keeping that in mind, sir, I also wanted to understand, um, what do you hope the readers get out of Anushka's journey? Like, this journey obviously is not something new, right? Many women have gone through this journey, but and many authors have also written about similar journeys. But what about Anushka's journey do you hope the readers would take away? Of course, they'll take away different things from the story, but what is your hope? What is it that you want to give to the readers?
if you read the newspapers and you see the news, you see that unfortunately, a lot of girls, young girls today, are victims of this patriarchal society still in
Yes.
villages. Not
Hmm.
only in villages, even in towns and cities.
Hmm.
So, what the entire nation and the generation has to understand that those times are gone. Patriarchal
Yeah.
society was a necessity at one time. It did
Mhm.
enforce a kind of family structure, values, and discipline. But when with both men and women working,
Yeah.
वो जमाने चले गए. You know,
चले गए. हाँ.
it's
Correct.
no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So the actual purpose or aim of writing this book is uh, to for the young girls to draw inspiration and
Hmm.
rebel and succeed and be the go-getter. You know,
Yeah.
anything comes into the way of success, you fight it, whoever it may be, mother, father,
Yeah.
society.
Absolutely.
Don't give up. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Absolutely.
live life at your terms. And
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's such an important message too, because it's so easy to like, uh, for a lot of women, like, I've been a professional for a long time, but a lot of times, when people say, "Acha, आपकी अभी शादी नहीं हुई है, but जब होगी तब आपका ध्यान हट जाएगा जॉब से या जो भी. और एंड देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ women who choose not to work once they are married or have kids, etc., and all respect to them, but I think it takes away a little bit from the independent women who do want to work, because वो एक नजरिया बन जाता है that like नहीं नहीं अभी इनकी शादी नहीं हुई है, जब होगी तो ये लाइक उनका पूरा फोकस चेंज हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a really refreshing take, that you are encouraging women to rebel and fight against the system, because at the end of the day society तो हम ही ने बनाई है, तो हमने चेंज भी हम ही ने करना है उसको.
हम ही क्या
So
करना है, हम ही नहीं करना
that's
है. And
yeah.
I want book to give a feeling to those who are undergoing these kind of
Mm.
problems, to
Yes.
say, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
If Anushka can do it, I can do it
Agreed.
too.
Yeah, because obviously she comes from a very, very relatable family background. She's not somebody who's grown up rich, or like how people say कि नहीं नहीं उनके पास तो they are rich so they can do it kind of thing. Like she comes from a very relatable, humble background, so she's completely doing it on her own. So that's, I think, really inspiring and very relatable for someone like me at least. So I'm really excited. How people will receive this book. So sir, I have one last question. Because आपने हिंदी में भी किताबें लिखी हैं, and obviously like your first book was in English, but I know that you've written in Hindi also. um, why not write this book in Hindi? Because a lot of the English speaking people, like like me, when I read this book, I find it very relatable, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, and that's exactly like what I have been doing all this while and all of that. But and मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि मतलब छोटे शहरों में या फिर people who read in vernacular languages need this book, because they may be far ahead than us English speaking folks. uh, but why write it in English instead of Hindi, which is like maybe can have a larger audience?
I don't know, but even my first book, the people who read it,
Yeah,
a lot of them, they said, why don't you
Hindi.
write it in Hindi?
Yeah.
So I've written two books in Hindi,
Yes.
Dil Ulfat Izhar and
Yes.
Meri Rachna Dil Se.
Correct.
And but these two books are of all poetry on love, and
Right.
uh, and written in Hindustani.
Mm,
So the first book, short stories, are all love stories, unrequited
mm.
love stories.
Right.
So
Right.
people said, "Okay, why don't you write, translate it into Hindi, bring it out
Yeah.
into Hindi?" And
Yeah.
now, like you are saying, why don't I write this book
Yes.
in Hindi? But maybe I'll write a few books in Hindi also.
Yes.
But I have a different stories to tell in Hindi. You know, you
Mm.
know, yeah, because
I mean, I think like like when I was reading the book, so because the obviously it's not written for a Western audience, right? Because they may not really relate to this such a grassroots kind of story. But when I was reading it, I was like, अगर ये हिंदी में होती ना तो इसका like इस sentence का ना और निखर के आता ये. So that is why I'm saying कि like ये book at least like you should at least translate it to Hindi and some other local languages, because I think sometimes like, and I have recently gone into Hindi reading. I mostly read English, but I have recently gone into reading Hindi books, and I think the beauty of a lot of emotions and a lot of what is said comes out like more nicely, I think, like more beautifully in Hindi. So that's why I'm asking play like why did you choose English?
yeah, the road is not closed. Maybe if there are enough voices who prompt
Yeah.
me and say, I may one day decide to convert this book into. into
I
Hindi.
think you should. I
Because,
think you will find the audience for sure. Like even urban audiences would want to read this in Hindi. So I think
actually,
you should.
maybe you feel that way because I grew up reading a lot of Hindi pulp fiction authors. You know,
Mhm.
you have the literary kind of writers of those times. You had Amrita Pritam and you had
Yes.
Sahil
And
Ludhianvi,
Manto has such beautiful
Manto,
stories as well.
Salar Hussain.
Yeah.
And then there were other novelists like Gulchan Nanda and
Hmm.
Ranu, and
Hmm.
nobody knows, but on novels of Gulchan Nanda, there were 9 Hindi movies made, and they were all successes. You
Oh
know,
wow! I
there
did
were-
not know that.
all,
That's
all the
amazing.
Rajesh Khanna movies, the hit ones, were all made on Gulchan Nanda novels, and some of the other,
Oh.
like a very famous movie, Khilona,
Hmm. Kilona.
for
I
which
think I have heard of
Sanjeev
it. Yeah.
Sanjeev Kumar got a award. You know,
Right.
that was made on पत्थर के होंठ करके एक गुलशन नंदा का नावल था उसके ऊपर बनी थी.
Acha.
So
Interesting.
somehow even in
I did not know
writing,
that.
maybe the way of storytelling is somehow coming from there. No.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, but definitely, like, I think it's like sometimes, I think authors also, especially Indian authors, they try to sort of, write from a very Western way of writing, like, use big words and complicate the story and all of that. Like, I think that's what I love about this book is that, like, it's so simple. Because life ऐसी ही होती है. Like, life is like linear in many ways, but also
Yeah.
it comes full circle at the end and all of that. So I felt that's what I like about it कि मतलब आप फटाफट आप पढ़ सकते हो. It's not like कि आपको बहुत time लगेगा पढ़ने में and everything, and you relate to almost everything that the book talks about. So it's been a pleasure, speaking with you, sir, today.
Yeah,
And
it is a pleasure speaking to you too, and let me congratulate you on your Neher Bari, outlet.
thank you.
I'm really impressed. That's the original idea, new idea, and it fulfills a much required need. Is more such outlets are maybe you have a
Yeah.
chain of these all over the country.
That's
You
the
have,
goal,
I
sir.
would,
That's the goal. I
you
want
know,
to get people back to reading.
exactly, and not only reading, workplace and discussion
Yeah.
and
Yes.
interaction.
Yes.
I go
Like
to
literally that was the background. Like I modeled it on old school libraries जैसे वो movies में दिखाते थे, where people are like कि वो रेडियो के आसपास बैठ के आप क्रिकेट मैच सुन रहे हैं and you're discussing politics and up news, like that was what was modeled. Neher Bari, that
I
was
was
what I
one
modeled about.
would tell you if such an outlet was there somewhere near my place. I would surely go there, grab a book, plonk on one of the sofas, leisurely
Yeah.
read, ask for coffee, sip
Definitely,
for
sir. I'll
coffee.
bring it to Mumbai very
So,
soon.
bring it all over India
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
start from Mumbai before I kick the bucket.
Great, great. I will do that. I will definitely bring it to Mumbai for sure. Great. It was lovely, lovely speaking with you, sir. And I hope the book does really well. I'm sure it will because it is such a great book. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time today. And
Thank
everyone,
you.
please go and grab your own copy of Hard as Nails. It's a fabulous book. And I think all little girls should definitely read it. Like any girls in formative years should definitely read it. It's a great story. So
Thank you. Namaste.
thank you, sir.